For years, Melinda and Bill Gates seemed like the perfect power couple. They built a global empire together, raised a family, and worked side by side to change the world. From the outside, their life looked picture perfect, but behind the smiles and charity events, cracks were forming. After 27 years of marriage, Melinda decided it was time to walk away, and the reason shocked many. At 60, she's finally ready to talk about it. What really happened inside one of the world's most famous marriages? Join us as we take a closer look at their relationship from the very beginning and uncover why she made that life-changing decision. How it all began. In 1987, Bill Gates and Melinda French crossed paths for the very first time. Melinda had just joined Microsoft as a product manager, and Bill was already the famous co-founder and CEO. Their first meeting happened during a sales event in New York City. It was casual, but something clicked. Later, Bill walked up to her in a parking lot and asked her out. But Melinda didn't just say yes. She thought his approach was too planned. He said, "You know, I was thinking maybe we could go out 2 weeks from tonight." Melinda quickly replied, "2 weeks from tonight? I have no idea what I'm doing 2 weeks from tonight. You aren't spontaneous enough for me." That might have been the end of it, but Bill wasn't ready to give up. Just an hour later, he called her back and asked, "Is this spontaneous enough for you?" This time she agreed. That simple but persistent call started a relationship that would last for decades. Over the years, their bond grew stronger, and it was clear they shared not just a connection, but also ambition and vision. A proposal and a life-changing trip. 6 years into their relationship, in 1993, Bill proposed to Melinda. While they didn't share many details about the proposal itself, Melinda later revealed in a 2017 essay for AARP that they celebrated their engagement with a special trip to Africa in the fall of that year. It was their first time visiting the continent, and it changed their lives. Melinda described it as her first real encounter with extreme poverty. She remembered a moment when they were walking along a beach in Zanzibar and had a deep conversation about what they wanted to do with the wealth they had earned from Microsoft. They agreed right there on where and how they would use it to help others. This conversation became the seed for the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, which they would launch years later. On January 1st, 1994, after 7 years of dating, they tied the knot in Hawaii. The wedding was kept secret and private, taking place at the Manel Bay Hotel on the island of Lanai. They invited 130 family members and friends. To protect their privacy, they booked all 250 rooms of the hotel and even hired all the helicopters on the nearby island of Maui to keep the media away. It was an intimate and grand start to their life as a married couple, setting the stage for a journey that would blend family life, business, and philanthropy, growing a family and a shared mission. In April 1996, Bill and Melinda became parents for the first time when their daughter Jennifer Catherine was born at Overlake Hospital in Bellevue, Washington, weighing 8 pounds 6 ounces. A Microsoft spokesman at the time assured the public, "They're home, everybody's fine." That same year, Melinda made a major decision. She left Microsoft to become a full-time stay-at-home mom. In a 2017 interview, she remembered Bill's reaction. He was surprised. He was definitely surprised, but she explained her reasoning clearly. "You can't be the CEO and go as hard as you're going, and somebody has to be at home, right? We didn't want our children raised by somebody else. If we want them to have the values we have, somebody has to be home." By December 1998, the couple's shared mission to help others took another step forward. They held a press conference in New York City to announce a $100 million investment in children's vaccine access and distribution in developing countries. The night before, they were honored alongside Hillary Clinton at the For All Kids benefit. In May 1999, they welcomed their second child, Rory. In a heartfelt essay for Time, Melinda described him as compassionate and curious, intelligent and well-read, a great son and a great brother. She said one of the things that made her proudest was that Rory is a feminist. The following year, 2000, brought another milestone. They combined their earlier charitable projects including the Gates Learning Foundation, with Bill's father's foundation, to form the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. It was funded not only by their own Microsoft wealth, but also by a large contribution from Warren Buffett. Melinda told CBS's Sunday Morning, "It's absolutely a partnership of equals. It's important to both of us that the world understands that we are running this place together. This is our joint values being played out in the world." Family moments and public recognition. Even with their global work, the couple still found time for personal moments. In October 2001, they were seen sharing a warm smile at the Chic X Trame 3 tennis challenge in Seattle, a nod to their shared love for the sport. The following year, in September 2002, they welcomed their third child, Phoebe. When Phoebe turned 13, Melinda wrote a piece for Time describing her youngest as smart, playful, thoughtful, compassionate, and shared her hope for a world where young women would always have equal opportunities. In January 2005, the couple's philanthropic efforts were recognized when they were named Time's Persons of the Year, alongside U2's Bono, under the title The Good Samaritans. That same year in March, Melinda stood proudly beside Bill when he was knighted by Queen Elizabeth II for his charitable work. Over time, Melinda also started pursuing her own initiatives. In 2015, she launched Pivotal Ventures, committing $1 billion to advance women's professional lives and push for economic equality. By then, the world saw them as one of the most admired couples, balancing love, family, and an unmatched commitment to global change. But while the public image looked unshakable, the years ahead would reveal a very different ending to their story, one that no one expected at the time. Awards and recognition. By 2016, Bill and Melinda Gates were already known around the world for their work with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. That year, they were honored with the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the highest civilian award in the United States, as recognition for their charitable work. It was one of the proudest public moments in their journey together. Just a year later, in April 2017, they received another major honor, this time from France. They were awarded the French Legion of Honor, again for their efforts in helping people around the globe through their foundation. These awards reflected years of hard work, but the couple still lived a life that had balance between public recognition and private moments. In February 2018, they sat down with People magazine and shared how they liked to relax when they weren't traveling or working. Bill said, "We do a lot of reading and we do more jigsaw puzzles than most people. We watch a ton of video series. We recently watched all of Downton Abbey." Melinda added that they were also watching This Is Us at the time, although it could be too emotional on some nights. She joked that sometimes you had to say, "Okay, maybe we won't do that." In that same interview, she reflected on their bond, saying, "We lead this organization together. The goals, the people we hire, the values we set. We enjoy doing that together. Bill is the first person I want to talk to when I get back from being out in the field. We sharpen each other's thinking." These words painted a picture of a couple still in sync. But in just a few years, everything would begin to change. A milestone anniversary. On January 1, 2019, Bill and Melinda celebrated their 25th wedding anniversary. Melinda marked the occasion with a sweet Instagram post, sharing a memory from their wedding day in 1994. In the post, she told a funny story about a cake-cutting mishap. New Year's Day, 1994. "We told you it was time to cut the cake. You thought that meant you needed to cut a slice for everyone, and did some astonishingly quick math to calculate exactly how big each slice should be. This is the moment I realized what was happening, and also the moment you realized that cake had a cardboard middle, and I had forgotten to mention it. I laughed so hard I couldn't speak." She ended the post by saying, "I thought my heart was full that night, but the last 25 years have taught me just how full a heart can get. Happy anniversary." At This Is Bill Gates. Later that year, Bill spoke in the Netflix documentary Inside Bill's Brain, decoding Bill Gates about their early days. He admitted that when they first met, he didn't think the relationship would turn serious. "When we first met, she had other boyfriends, and I had Microsoft," he said. Melinda added, I was new to Microsoft. There were a lot of men there. At the time, their life still seemed steady. They had shared history, family, and the foundation that carried their joint mission. But within just a couple of years, those decades together would come to an unexpected turning point, the end of a 27-year marriage. In March 2020, as the pandemic began spreading across the world, Bill and Melinda shifted their focus to the crisis. Along with MasterCard and Welcome, their foundation pledged $125 million in seed funding to help speed up the global response. The goal was to identify, develop, and scale up treatments quickly. A month later, Bill shared that their foundation planned to fund 7 factories working on potential vaccines. Even during this challenging time, their partnership seemed to remain strong in the public eye. But on May 3, 2021, the world was shocked when the couple released a joint statement on Twitter announcing their divorce. After a great deal of thought and a lot of work on our relationship, we have made the decision to end our marriage, the statement began. They reflected on their 27 years together, saying, "Over the last 27 years, we have raised 3 incredible children and built a foundation that works all over the world to enable all people to lead healthy, productive lives. We continue to share a belief in that mission and will continue our work together at the foundation, but we no longer believe we can grow together as a couple in this next phase of our lives. We ask for space and privacy for our family as we begin to navigate this new life." On August 2, 2021, just 3 months after their shocking announcement, Bill and Melinda Gates finalized their divorce. Court documents showed that Melinda would not be changing her name. She would also not receive any spousal support. It was the official end of a marriage that had lasted nearly 3 decades. Only a couple of months later, in October 2021, they were seen together again, but this time for a special reason. Their daughter Jennifer was getting married to Nael Nassar. It was their first public reunion since the divorce. Melinda shared a heartfelt message on Instagram, writing, "So grateful we were able to find a way to safely gather for this special day." By December 2021, Bill spoke openly about how hard the year had been. In a Year in Review blog post, he wrote, "I can't deny that it's been a year of great personal sadness for me." He also shared how impressed he was by the strength of his loved ones, especially his children, during such a challenging time. While the marriage had ended, the public could already see that the process was deeply emotional for both of them, and there was more to be said from Melinda's side. Melinda Speaks Out. On March 3, 2022, Melinda broke her silence in an exclusive interview with Gayle King on CBS Mornings. She said that she and Bill still had a working relationship and were friendly, but the word friends was different for her. "That might come over time, but for me, there's still healing that needs to happen," she admitted. Speaking about her decision to leave, Melinda said she felt she needed to take a different path from where their relationship was heading. It was not an easy choice. She remembered crying, a lot of tears for many days, and asking herself, "How can this be? How can I get up? How am I going to move forward?" She also admitted that along with sadness, there was anger. "I mean, this is painful stuff," she said. Even so, she felt she was starting to get to the other side in her journey to healing. When asked if she was open to dating again, Melinda said she definitely was, and had already started dipping her toe in that water a little bit. She added, "I hope that happens for me again." Her words gave the public its first real glimpse into the emotional weight behind the split. But Bill also had his own perspective to share. Bill reflects on their life together. Just 2 months later, on May 1, 2022, Bill spoke to the Sunday Times about processing the divorce. "I'm also grieving the same way she is," he said. "You know, we grew up together." He reflected on the early days of their marriage, saying, "I was a young 38-year-old and she was a mature 28-year-old when we married. And over those next few years, in terms of what we learned together, what went well, what didn't go well, I mean, that's more than half my adult life. We did a lot together." Even though the marriage had ended, Bill said he still felt lucky that a part of it continues through their shared work at the foundation. He explained that every marriage faces a transition when children leave home, but theirs went through this transition called divorce. Still, he told the paper, "From my point of view, it was a great marriage. I wouldn't have changed it." In September 2022, they proved their commitment to the foundation when they both attended its annual Goalkeepers event in New York City. Speaking to Bloomberg, Melinda said, "Bill and Melinda remain completely committed to this institution and to working effectively together, and that's what we're doing today." At the event, they met with world leaders, posed for photos, and gave separate speeches. Yet, behind the public smiles, Melinda would later reveal that the pain of the divorce was still very real. An honest look at pain and moving forward. In October 2022, Melinda gave an interview to Fortune magazine and described the divorce as unbelievably painful. She said, "I had some reasons I just couldn't stay in that marriage anymore. But the odd thing about the pandemic is that it gave me the privacy to do what I needed to do." She admitted that her main concern during the split was protecting her children, saying, "And we got to the other side." 2 months later, in December 2022, Bill reflected again in his year-end blog post. He mentioned his divorce from Melinda as one of the personal low points of his life, alongside the death of his father. "Being wealthy makes my life much more comfortable, but not more fulfilling," he wrote. "For that, I need family, friends, and a job where I work on things that matter. I'm grateful to have all three." By February 2023, news broke that Bill was dating again. People confirmed he was in a relationship with Paula Hurd, the widow of former Oracle CEO Mark Hurd. A source said Paula had not yet met Bill's children. The news came shortly after BBC interviewer Amol Rajan asked Bill if he hoped to find love again. Bill's simple reply was, "Sure, I'm not a robot." It was a reminder that, while both Bill and Melinda had endured a very public and painful ending, life for each of them was slowly moving forward in new directions, reunions, and big changes. On September 14, 2023, Bill and Melinda came together again to celebrate their youngest daughter, Phoebe's 21st birthday. The celebration took place in New York City. Earlier in the day, both parents had shared birthday wishes for Phoebe on Instagram. Bill posted, "You'll always be my little girl, but watching you do big things has never surprised me. I'm so proud of you." It was a rare public show of warmth between the two since their split. But less than a year later, a huge announcement from Melinda made headlines. On May 13, 2024, she revealed on Instagram that she was stepping down from her role as co-chair of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Her last day would be June 7th. She wrote, "After careful thought and reflection, I have decided to resign from my role as co-chair of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation." Melinda said she was immensely proud of the work they had done together and of the team and partners who made it possible. As part of her agreement, she would go forward with an additional $12.5 billion to continue her work for women and families. Bill responded to her announcement with a message on LinkedIn, praising her for shaping the foundation's strategies and having a huge impact on global health and gender equality. He ended his note by saying he was sorry to see her leave, but sure she would continue making a difference. A month later, on June 18, 2024, Melinda gave an interview to Time, where she said life after the divorce was wonderful. She described her new home and neighborhood with joy, saying, "Now I can walk to little stores. I can walk to the drugstore. I can walk to a restaurant. I absolutely love it." It was clear that while the marriage had ended, both were still stepping into new roles and chapters in their lives. Bill calls it his biggest regret. On January 25, 2025, Bill spoke to the Times of London and revealed just how much the divorce had affected him. He said it was the mistake I most regret. Bill admitted that the split was miserable for both him and Melinda for at least 2 years. "There are others, but none that matter," he told the outlet. Reflecting on their life together, he said, "There is a certain wonderfulness to spending your entire adult life with one person because of the memories and depth of things you have done and having kids together." He remembered that when they first met, he was already doing well, but not ridiculously successful. and that his major successes came during their years together. "She saw me through a lot," he added. Bill also said, "From my point of view, it was a great marriage. I wouldn't have changed it." Just a couple of months later, on April 2nd, 2025, Melinda shared her own thoughts while promoting her book The Next Day. Speaking to people, she said it was important for her to be real about the divorce in her writing. "You have to stay true to yourself always, right?" she explained. She also hoped that her honesty might help someone else going through something similar. But when asked about the exact moment she decided to leave, she kept that private, saying it was for Bill to tell the world. This choice left the public curious, but Melinda clearly wanted to control how much of her personal story was shared. Melinda responds to Bill's words. The divorce was back in the news in March 2025 when Elle magazine interviewed Melinda for its Women of Impact issue. She was asked about Bill's earlier comment that the divorce was his biggest mistake. Melinda didn't seem eager to go into detail, even rolling her eyes and saying, "You've clearly Googled more than I have." She made it clear that she didn't want to focus on her ex-husband's words, but she did share that leaving her marriage was one of the hardest and most important things she had ever done. "Look, divorces are painful, and it's not something I would wish on any family," she said. She reminded the interviewer that the two share 3 adult children, Jennifer, Rory, and Phoebe. While Bill had described the end of their marriage as miserable, he also reflected in the UK Times interview about the wonderfulness of their shared life. His words showed a mix of regret and gratitude for the years they spent as a couple. Together, they had built a family and a global foundation that had shaped the lives of millions, even though their personal relationship had come to an end. A candid confession. In April 2025, Melinda Gates surprised audiences with one of her most open interviews yet. The 60-year-old philanthropist appeared on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert to promote her new memoir, The Next Day. During the conversation, she was asked about the end of her 27-year marriage to Bill Gates, the co-founder of Microsoft and father of her 3 children. Her answer was direct and personal. She said she had to leave because the marriage lacked honesty, and without honesty, there could be no trust or intimacy. "I learned to have a trusted relationship, which is what I wanted in marriage. Both partners have to be honest with one another," she explained. "And if you can't have intimacy, and you can't have trust. So in the end, I had to go." While Melinda did not go into the specific reasons for the lack of trust, she has in the past acknowledged that Bill's friendship with Jeffrey Epstein was one factor in her decision. Bill has never confirmed whether he was unfaithful, but he has admitted to making mistakes in their marriage and said he takes responsibility. On the show, Melinda also confirmed that she is dating again and described the experience as pretty great. She has been photographed with her new partner, tech investor Philip Vaughn, and the two have been seen together at public events. Just a day before her interview, she was spotted in New York City with Vaughn, looking happy and relaxed as they headed to see George Clooney's Broadway production, Good Night and Good Luck. It was clear she was entering a new phase of her life, one she was ready to talk about publicly. Life after the split. The couple's divorce had been finalized in August 2021 after nearly 3 decades together. Since then, Melinda and Bill have kept their main homes in Seattle, while their 3 children, Jennifer, Rory, and Phoebe, have moved to the East Coast. Melinda told People magazine earlier in April that she and Bill still see each other occasionally at family events like graduations, adding, "When we do, it's friendly." Her careful choice of words showed she was keeping some emotional distance, but she also emphasized the importance of being present for her children and now her grandchildren. She has kept her public comments about Bill minimal over the years, often focusing instead on her own projects and philanthropic work. In The Next Day, she writes about responding to the betrayals in my marriage without betraying myself in return, crediting years of therapy for helping her navigate the process. She revealed that the separation played out in secret for more than a year before it became public. One moment in particular stood out to her. She recalled having a nightmare about falling down a cliff. "As dramatic as it sounds," she wrote, I knew in that moment that I was going to have to make a decision, and that I was going to have to make it by myself. It was a turning point that made her certain she could not continue in the marriage. After officially becoming single, Melinda took what she called a freedom tour with friends, traveling to Mexico. She described transitions like this as scary, exhilarating, or both, but also said that when you get to the other side, you're going to be okay. Speaking her truth. While Melinda's memoir shares some of the emotional journey, her talk show appearances in April 2025 gave her a chance to speak directly about it. On Good Morning America, she said leaving Bill was painful, but also a period of growth. I ended up learning some lessons, and there was some growth in there too, she told the hosts. Her goal with the book, she said, was to be real about what she went through. Because if I'm going to be my most authentic self, people knew I had gone through it. She hoped that by sharing her story, it might help someone else facing a similar challenge. Even though she avoided naming every detail, her comments hinted at the deep personal struggles that had been hidden from the public eye for years. She also spoke about how important it is to stay true to yourself always. For her, that meant acknowledging when something was no longer working and having the courage to walk away. The memoir also reflects on the idea of handling betrayals without losing one's own integrity. These insights, shared in her calm but firm tone, gave audiences a clearer picture of the emotional weight behind her decision. Yet, while she focused on her perspective, Bill was also speaking publicly about the divorce in his own interviews, offering a different angle on their shared history. In January 2025, Bill told the Times of London that the divorce was the mistake I most regret. In February, on the Today Show, Bill clarified his earlier comment, explaining that it wasn't the marriage itself he regretted. Despite the fact that the divorce wasn't great, having those 3 kids, the work we were able to do together, even if I knew that it wouldn't last forever, I would still do it again, he said. When Elle magazine asked Melinda in March about Bill's comments, she didn't directly engage with them, instead saying she hoped people could see she was thriving on the other side of a divorce. She made it clear that while their paths have separated, she is focused on the future. Now in a happy relationship with Philip Vaughn, she has been seen smiling and enjoying life, from public outings to her busy book tour. Bill, for his part, has been in a relationship with Paula Hurd since 2022. Even though their lives have gone in different directions, the two remain linked through their children, their shared past, and the massive foundation they built together. And while the exact details of why their marriage ended remain partly unspoken, Melinda's own words about honesty, trust, and the need to go have left little doubt about how final her decision was. What do you think about Bill and Melinda's relationship after all those years together? Were you surprised by how their story ended after nearly 3 decades of marriage? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more incredible stories from Hollywood's fascinating history. See you next time!